How many times have you stopped yourself from doing something? Not because it was dangerous, but because you were waiting for permission. Permission from your parents, from your teachers, from society to tell you that, hey, it's okay. The truth is, a lot of the time, they're going to default to saying no. Not because it's better, but because it's the easier option. The moment I decided to stop asking for permission, everything changed. In the real world, the people who wait to ask for permission to have something approved, they're the people who get left behind. They're the people who stay average. The people who have the courage to go out and do something without needing permission, they're the people who are extremely successful, the people who get the best of the best results because they're not waiting for someone else who probably doesn't know any better to give them permission whether they can do something or not. And I'll give you an example of this. There are younger guys out there who want to start a business, who want to go out to maybe create something really successful, make a lot of money, have a lot of freedom, whatever the case may be, whatever the reason they're doing it for. And the reason that stops them is that they're waiting for, oh, well, I have to get enough money to, buy an LLC or whatever thing so I can get approved to do business. Now, while that does sound like a, good enough excuse, the truth is you don't have to have that. For a lot of the things that you may want to start as a younger guy, you don't need to have a license. You can just start right now without needing that permission. Once you actually create that success, once you're making money from that, okay, now you can go out and start the business, because the thing is, you can't wait for the situation to be perfect. You have to start with what you've got. You've got to start before you have that permission. There's so many examples of people who didn't wait, or who did wait, and because they waited, someone else who didn't wait for that permission, they got a huge head start. Imagine the head start that somebody has against the person who waited until, say they were old enough to start a business and had the amount of money to get all these silly licenses or whatever that are important, to be fair, but you just don't need it, especially for the beginning stages that you may be in. The guy who just says, you know what, fuck it, I don't need any of that shit, and just test out, learns a lot of things through the business, learns what works, learns what doesn't, he's going to make so much more progress and beat the guy who just waited for everything to pretty much be perfect. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. You can't wait for permission. You can't wait for people to approve of what you're doing. You've just got to try it and, see what happens. Now, obviously, use your common sense with this. You don't want to go out and do something stupid. I'm not suggesting anything like that. What I am saying is that if you have enough confidence in yourself and your ability to do something, you know the risks and you understand them, you should be willing to have the courage. Now, another thing is that people are afraid to fail. And it's a very natural thing to have, people are afraid of failure because failure sucks. But by doing this, you're going to learn that a lot of the time failure isn't actually that bad. I failed so many times at so many various things, but I've learned from those experiences that you can fail a lot and you're going to be okay. A lot of the failures that you'll experience, as long as you know your risk ahead of time, they're not going to be detrimental. Sure, it may set you back a little bit, but from those experiences, from those failures, you're going to learn so much and you're going to have an advantage over the people who are too scared, who, for example, guys who have all of these book smarts, they have everything conceptually or in theory or whatever, but they don't actually have skin in the game. The guy who actually has skin in the game, the results that he gets is going to be exponentially higher than the guy who only has the book smarts, because he actually has experience. He has skin in the game. He knows what he's doing from a practical level. He's not just book smart. I'm not saying book smarts don't count for anything, but I am saying you've got to just have something. You have to have some skin in the game. You have to take that risk, have the courage to do something. And yes, you may fail. But a lot of the time in those situations, if you mess up really bad, you can just apologize and, things will be fine. Again, use your common sense with this. You don't want to go out and take these really stupid risks that end up, or that have the potential to, completely ruin you or ruin the lives of other people. That's not what I'm suggesting. You start off small. You start off with these small little things that you understand for yourself. For example, one of the small things in my life is I wanted to go out on the walks, kind of in the afternoon, sunset, because it was just something I wanted to do, you know, listen to an audiobook or, you know, just take my minds off of things. And I knew that if I asked my parents, like, hey, can I go and like walk outside or whatever, they wouldn't approve of it because, you know, in the news, they'd see the stuff like, oh, these people getting kidnapped or whatever. But by that time, I had some muscle on me. I had some confidence in myself that I know not to go in certain places. I know, I pretty much thought to myself, hey, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not going to get kidnapped or anything. I know what I'm doing. So I just went out by myself, like went on these walks, knew what my route was in any case. I'm not suggesting that you do that necessarily, but what I'm saying is by doing that, I learned that, hey, there are some things that other people may not approve of, but I know that I will be okay with. I know I can deal with whatever the consequences may be. So what I'm saying is that you've got to be willing to take the risk. And by doing this, you're going to have a lot more freedom. You're going to be able to taste freedom on a level that a lot of people just don't have, just because they're too scared to go out, just because they're constantly asking and waiting for permission from somebody higher up who they perceive to be an authority to give them the permission to do things. You're going to be left behind by the people who don't care about those permissions, the people who just go out on their own and have the courage to like go and like do that stuff, you know what I mean? My practical advice for the younger guys out there is if there's something that you've wanted to do and you understand the risks that are involved and you have a lot of confidence in yourself, but you're just waiting for someone to give you permission, you know, obviously don't be an idiot. Make sure that you're not putting anybody in harm's way. Make sure if anything, the risk is on you. And if the worst case scenario happens, you can, you know, get out of whatever that situation is. You're gonna be able to build your intuition over time, like as you keep doing this, but just start small, start doing something, because man, when you start to live your life not needing permission from other people, the opportunities available to you become so much greater. The amount of things that you're able to do becomes so much greater. Stop asking for permission, stop needing it. Apologize sincerely if you end up making like a huge mistake, but a lot of the times, the majority of cases, you're going to be fine. Hope you got some value from this video. Peace out.